Hi Founder fans, Jason here, and today's founder is Martha Bratton. Now, I need to start out by warning you, Martha Bratton's story, like many heroic women of the American Revolution, largely is hard to account for in documentation. It's a legend. It's a story that's been passed down over time. I will say this does involve a skirmish called Huck's Defeat, which was a real thing, and her husband certainly served in the war, so she was a real person, and she was involved with certain events, though to what degree the entirety of this fascinating story I'm about to tell you is true is very hard to determine. That being said, I'm going to tell it to you like it is true because I gave you this warning. So, Martha Bratton and her husband William live out on the South Carolina frontier. And when the war comes, her husband decides to join the cause, and he goes off warring. But before he goes, he helps South Carolina store some gunpowder. See, as in most colonies, the British were coming to take gunpowder. That's why they were coming to Lexington and Concord. That's why they went to many places. And many of the patriots took it upon themselves to store their local malicious powder in their own houses or hide it away so the British couldn't get it. And William Bratton, before he went off to war, and his family, had stored much of this powder in a shed that they owned. And off he went. And he's gone. And Martha Bratton is essentially on her own. One day, word comes that the British are coming, and as the lobsterbacks approach, well, Martha Bratton decided to destroy the powder instead of letting the British get it. So she detonated it and exploded the shed in her backyard. Now, this certainly alerted the British to the fact that she was storing Patriot powder there, but there was very little they could do because, whoopsies, no more powder. So they get there, and they confront Martha, and they say, "Where is your husband?" And she's like, "I don't know," because she probably didn't know. He went warring somewhere. Wasn't much that she would know. Even if he wrote a letter home telling her where he was, he probably wasn't there anymore. So, they come in, and one British soldier did not take this lightly, and he grabbed a sickle, allegedly, and held it up to Martha Bratton's throat, and said, "I will decapitate you if you don't tell us where he is," or something along those lines. You know, "I'm going to kill you if you don't tell us where your husband and his little patriot friends are." So, Martha says something along the lines of, "I don't know, and even if I did, I'd rather die for my country than sell it out." Again, this is a beautiful sentiment. We like to think that it's true, but there's nothing really verifying that it's true. Now, to this, the reaction was by a British officer in the room, went over and apparently used the butt of his sword to knock the soldier away from the woman, because like, what are you doing holding a weapon up to a woman's throat at a time where it was very much women were not to be treated as such. Most people should still not be treated as such today, but we've come a long way when it comes to equality of that nature. Now, word got back to her husband and many of the patriots from the South Carolina frontier that the Redcoats were terrorizing their families. So they came back, and there was a battle that became known as Huck's Defeat, named after Christian Huck, who was the leader of the Loyalist militia that had come to harass the families of these patriots. So the patriots come back, and the battle does ensue. It's very brief. The patriots do win, and Christian Huck actually dies there. Now, the battle is so close to Martha Bratton's home that she actually takes her very young son and hides him in a chimney. Again, allegedly, she hides him in a chimney to make sure no ricocheted bullets hit him, because the safest place to be in a old-timey wooden house seems to be the stone chimney. So that, in brief, is the story of Martha Bratton. It's very fascinating. Unfortunately, not all of it can be confirmed, so please take everything I said with a grain of salt, but it's a great story, and it does show the patriotism that many people on the frontier and in the more high-risk places in the United States demonstrated during this time, especially Martha Bratton. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, definitely hit like on your way out. And if you're new here, subscribe. We put out videos 5 days a week. Tomorrow is going to be a live video. We do our weekly live videos on Wednesdays. And it is the 1-year anniversary of me launching my first video on Founder of the Day. And I've come a really long way. And I thank everyone who watches for watching. And especially my Patriots on Patreon who help support this channel and some of the many changes I'm making to improve the content for you. So thank you again. And I look forward to seeing you live tomorrow.